Welcome to Voice of Stories. Discover tales that inspire, captivate, and bring words to life. Subscribe for unforgettable stories.
The creepy house behind us? My parents had been looking for a new house to rent for what felt like forever. They were really picky about finding a place that was close to my school and my dad's office, but no matter how much they searched, they couldn't seem to find the perfect one. Finally, after months of searching, my dad found a house that seemed ideal. It was close to my school, which I was excited about. But there was one major issue I couldn't ignore. The house was right next to an old, abandoned building. Now, I'm not usually one to get scared by old houses or creepy things. I watch scary movies, and I'm pretty tough when it comes to stuff like that. But this abandoned house, it was something different. I could feel something was off about it. And since my room was at the back of the new house, I had a perfect view of that creepy place every time I looked out my window. It made me uneasy. I remember telling my mom, "Mom, can we look for another house? I really don't like that room. I can see that abandoned house from my window. It's so creepy." I tried to explain how unsettling it was, but my mom wasn't having it. She just sighed and said, "Annie, your dad worked so hard to find us a place. We're not going to start over again. Just help with unpacking and I'm sure you'll get used to it. You'll be fine." But I wasn't so sure. I could still see that abandoned house looming over me, and it was making it hard to relax. For a while, I couldn't sleep, always turning over in bed to check if that house, to my window. A strange presence. Days passed, and I did eventually get used to the house, but something inside me still felt unsettled. I had trouble shaking the feeling that the abandoned house was somehow watching me. Then, one night, something happened that I could never forget. It was around 9 p.m. I had just climbed into bed, ready to call it a night, when I glanced out of my window, like I always did. But this time I saw something that made my blood run cold. There, standing in the top floor window of the abandoned house, was a figure. Someone was staring right at me. My heart skipped a beat. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me, but the figure didn't move. It just stood there, unmoving, staring. I felt frozen in place, but the fear started to take over. "Mom! Mom!" I screamed as I jumped out of bed and ran to her room. "Mom, please come quick. There's someone in that window, I swear. Someone's standing there." My mom, still half asleep, groggily opened the door. "What are you talking about, Annie?" she said, clearly annoyed. "It's late, honey. You're probably just imagining things." But I wasn't imagining it. I could see that figure so clearly. "No, Mom, I saw someone. They were staring at me from that window. Please, come look." Mom sighed and walked over to the window. "Annie, there's nothing there. You've been watching too many horror movies. Go back to bed." I tried to argue, but she was already turning back to her room. "You're just tired. Tomorrow's a school day." But I knew what I saw. I wasn't imagining it. I couldn't be. The next night, the exact same thing happened. I was lying in bed, trying to sleep, when my eyes darted to the window, and there it was again. Someone standing in the top floor window of the abandoned house. This time, I felt my heart race faster. It was as if the figure knew I was watching. I shot out of bed and ran to my mom's room again. "Mom, Mom, they're there again. Someone's in that window. I'm not making this up." I was near tears by now, my voice trembling. "Annie, enough," she snapped. "It's past bedtime. What's wrong with you? There's no one there. It's just a figment of your imagination. Go to sleep." But I couldn't. I was terrified. I knew I had to find out who or what was in that window. I wasn't going to let this go anymore. Maybe it was just some kids playing a prank, or maybe it was something else. I was going to find out. The Halloween plan, it was Halloween night, and I decided that tonight would be the night I solved this mystery. I was going to find out who was hiding in the abandoned house. My parents didn't believe me, and I was fed up with it. So I sneaked out of the house and made my way toward the creepy abandoned house at exactly 9 p.m. when I had seen the figure last time. I was determined to catch whoever was playing a trick on me. As I approached the house, the front door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The darkness inside was overwhelming. I could barely see my own hand in front of me, but I had to move forward. The stairs creaked beneath my feet as I slowly made my way up, step by step, toward the second floor where I had seen the figure. The silence was deafening. It was so still, I could hear the beating of my own heart in my ears. I reached the top floor and looked around, trying to find any sign of life. The room was empty, just dust and old furniture, nothing out of the ordinary. And then I saw it. The window, the same one I had been staring at from my own room. It was so close now, I could almost touch it. But there was no one standing in it. No figure, no strange person, just emptiness. I sighed in relief, but my unease wasn't over yet. Suddenly, I heard something behind me. I whipped around, but there was no one there. My heart was pounding now. I turned to leave, but when I reached for the door, it wouldn't open. I tried to force it, but the door was stuck. Panic set in as I pulled on the handle again and again. No, I muttered to myself, this can't be happening. The door wouldn't budge. I was trapped inside. Mom? Dad, I screamed, but no one could hear me. I was alone, locked in a house that seemed to breathe with a dark, heavy presence. I heard footsteps from up the stairs, faint but distinct, and I froze in place. I pulled again on the door, desperate to escape. Please, someone, help me, I cried out, but the only answer was my own echo. The final horror hours passed, or maybe it was minutes. Time seemed to warp in that dark house. And then, just as I was losing hope, I saw something that chilled me to my core. The figure I had seen in the window was standing right behind me.